say it's coming to a point where people may not understand what stepping up means in the context of the new presentation, and I grappled with that for some time. I got over it, but with the way, with the emphasis you give on stepping up, I think that many people will be in limbo as regards understanding of this requirement. So I don't know whether you can just specify again.
No, that's fine. Thank you, Charles. No, I appreciate you prompting these, and that is that again, you use the word requirement. Nothing is required of anyone. No one is obligated to do anything. It's a choice. So there are no requirements here, okay? You decide what you want to do. So it's just like a person that, wants to work and buy a house and buy a car. They're not required to do that. Or you can just go live on the park bench. That's fine. That's a choice. Or you can go to work and get all those things. Again, there's no requirement. The stepping up idea is very obviously, this is very, very obviously demonstrated in what Kelsey is doing, what Chris is doing, what Vesna is doing, what Sam is doing, what Ava and I are doing, what Claudia is doing, what George is doing with the books, etc. They're doing something, you see, instead of doing what they used to do. In other words, pay all that money to go to those seminars and sit there on your rear and listen to Harry, okay? So they're stepping up and they're doing something that makes sense. That was fine in those days, but guess what? It doesn't work anymore. It's not working. So yeah, get off your rear, stand up, and do something. And that is that it's being demonstrated. We're doing something. We're creating situations. We're creating something for the world, okay, to relate to where they see more than just the world, because the world is creating all kinds of distortion that's taking people's attention. So again, what are we doing? Not only are we providing real guidance and a real education, okay, we're providing what makes sense in a distorted, senseless world. So we're stepping up, you see? We're stepping up to the challenge. This world is a challenge. So just like I just said with, if you have the little distiller and you make a gallon a day, of clean, clear water, you're stepping up to the fact you're doing something and not just standing by the stream watching the dirty water flow by and doing nothing. That becomes the difference. Yeah, that's what stepping up means. In other words, it's really finally doing something. In other words, not waiting for the corporation to tell you what to do, not waiting for the next corporation seminar so you can just sit there and do nothing and just listen and think, oh, I'm spiritual now because I'm a good listener. But really, people aren't good listeners. They're just hearing a lot of noise, but they really can't even figure it out. So again, there's a bigger picture here. And what is it that the real guides, Rebazar and the real guides have always done for us? They've stepped up and they create situations for us to learn from and go through a process so that we wake up and recognize what they're doing. You see? That's stepping up. So that's what we're doing. And this is where the corporation members cannot figure out what I'm doing. It's like, well, what is Duane doing? Why doesn't he just do what everybody else does? I had one corporation member saying that, oh, the new is fake, it's whatever. Why don't you create a doctrine, like everybody else does, and then you'll get a lot of followers, and etc. Well, I'm not looking for followers. It's not the idea. I'm not on Twitter, okay? And the thing is, I'm not looking for followers. I'm not looking for members. I'm looking for real people that'll be real, and let's agree to do something wonderful, and let's have fun doing it. Gee, is that so hard? And they can't see that? You know, it's I work very closely with Kelsey and Val, and as they go out into the public, because I've been out there, I was out there over 30 years, whatever. I'm still there, but not in the same sense. But I know what it's like. Even when I put on the benefit concert in 2013, what resistance? It's like we were terrorists. And what we're talking about is a natural environment that supports all of us. It's like, what's the big deal here? And it's like, this is so foreign to people. And even Val went to a meeting here recently, the last couple of weeks, at one of the local colleges, and this was the environmental kids. And there's about 8 or 10 of them in there. And he brought the phone in there, and I could hear it while he kept the phone on. They didn't know I was listening, but it doesn't matter. But anyhow, they think environmental stuff is something they read in a book. And it's whatever the government tells them. That's their environmental group, you see? But when it comes to the outside environment, no, they don't know what that is for the most part. But of course they do. They walk outside. They see trees and plants and grass and stuff like that. But they don't consider that. Their environment is in their head, in the literal sense. That's their environment. And I could tell while, Kelsey and Val were there presenting their side of it, these kids couldn't wait to get rid of them. They even applauded when Val was done speaking. It's like, yay, you're leaving, right? Is that it? Okay. Yeah. This is the world we're dealing with. So, yeah, Charles, stepping up and doing something real. You know why most people won't do it? Because they're afraid. But until you get past the fear and those challenges, and it's like, the biggest one is, I don't know what to do. So in other words, you've lived millions of lifetimes, and you've lived this lifetime too, and all of a sudden at this very moment, you don't know what to do. Well, gee, you are stuck. But it's being demonstrated right in front of you that anything is possible, but you don't know what to do. And again, we're demonstrating it. And I'm constantly explaining it, and people still don't get it. And the thing is very simple, Charles. Look what we're doing. Look what I've decided. And many people are waiting. Why not step up and do the same thing that we're doing? Let's all get together and create agreement. Can you see that within this consciousness, we already have technology. We can already build flying saucers and whatever, but we need a certain position to make this possible. But everybody would rather just be out there on their own and struggle. Okay, go do it. You've got your great mission in life, go do it. But I don't see that. There's a few people that I relate to, they see what I'm doing, so there's only going to be a few, and all of a sudden we'll just disappear one day. I already see this. But everybody else will be wondering, well, where in the heck did they go? Well, because you didn't pay attention. So again, it's recognizing this reality, or don't. It's a choice. There's no in between. So stepping up, you start somewhere. And hey, when I started with the Vessel Project, I knew I had to start something. And so I wanted to do the hydroponics first because it made sense that the world needs real food. Hey, we got GMO nonsense all over the place, so doesn't it make sense? And yeah, there's a lot of people doing that. But that's just one idea. That's just one step. That's not the final step. No, it's not all of a sudden, okay, we create a health farm and we sell healthy food. Everybody's happy. No, that's not it. That's part of it. That leads to other steps, and eventually the Vessel Project, etc. And that leads to more steps. So we're creating steps here, for people to wake up. But at the same time, you see, because our intent is with creating a benefit for the overall, the wholeness of life, well, life backs us. This is what people don't see, is the backing. You need the backing. Just like if you're going to plug your toaster into the wall, you need that electricity in the wall. You can have the toaster, but without the electricity in the wall, that's your backup. You got nothing. That's where everything on this planet has nothing. They have no backup. I have the backup. The boys back me up, life backs me up, and those that realistically step up. But it can only back you up accordingly. So don't think in your mind that just because you read the new books and then do the new you, that all of a sudden life is backing you. You have to prove yourself. You have to totally 100% prove yourself and step up. Or you don't. And that doesn't mean life's backing you. Oh yeah, the boys will drop you off at the astral realm or whatever. Yeah, they're always there. And you can think whatever you want in your mind, but until you're 100%, you're not. And that's all there is to it. And again, I keep giving the hint, but most people don't get it. Yeah, so stepping up, yeah. Yeah, what's more important, your life career and what others tell you to do, or taking the risk and stepping up and doing what you've never done before that makes sense with everything that's going on, because you only have so much time. And that's very real. Because when you go to the real side, don't think that there's going to be some heavenly bliss for you. Because, no, you're still going to be exactly the same. Because that's what you've decided. And so until you recognize it, you won't. So it's not going to just instantly happen. It's going to be according to you, and you can recognize it right here and now. But it's not in the outer sense. It's what you see in your real awareness. So the stepping up aspect's very important. You must activate yourself because life is an activity, okay? The aliveness life is an activity. And as you activate yourself with a true and pure, sincere intent, it backs you. See, like the Energizer Bunny, it backs you. It's so simple. Again, it's being demonstrated. And so when people don't know what to do, well, that's silly. We've all had so much experience to get here and to wake up. And even people that have went through the corporation for 20 or 30 years or whatever, they still don't know what to do? Yeah, because that shows you how dumbed down everybody is. If they even really consider that, then that just shows you how dumbed down things are. All that experience, all that life experience, and you don't know what to do? Well, you do have a problem. And it's your problem. And I don't use that word. And that's silly. Because again, you can imagine anything, you can do whatever, but you have to be realistic. It's a step at a time. Everything is a step at a time, just like baby steps. And coming into the new presentation, just like those of you that came into the corporation, I was there too, it becomes a new moment. You don't drag all the old junk with you. When you move into a new house or you buy a new car, you look at some people's cars, it defines them, So do our houses because we all collect stuff. And so if you buy a new car, are you going to take all the trash and the Coke bottles and then whatever else you got, and all the wrappings and whatever underneath the seat, are you going to take them all out and throw them in the new car too? Is that what you're going to do? Does that make sense? Oh, I want my old trash with me, and even the dust and the dirt and everything, I'll take that too. Okay, let's just throw it in the new car. Well, this is what people do as they step into this. They want to bring their old trash with them, their old ideas, their old stuff. No, this is a new position. And yes, this is where we get real. And this is what scares people and bothers people. And I see them come and go. Because realistically, they don't want to do anything. They want to stay passive. And so again, they're going to stay in their emotional body. And that'll be it. They want it to be done for them. They're waiting for me to do it for them. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to think for people. This is where you step up. Because again, I'm not a slave to others. This master-student idea is a fallacy. Actually, Harry is the slave to the membership, and the membership is a slave to Harry. They're all slaves with each other. He doesn't see that. By the very fact that he thinks he's the king, he's the slave. And the same way with the reptilians. They think they're the presidents and the queens and whatever, and the rulers and the monarchy. They're slaves to what they have to maintain. They've got to constantly maintain the nonsense, constantly create deception. They've got to constantly maintain their human farming here. They're all slaves to each other. They're not being to being. What I've decided is that let's be being to being, let's be real and wonderful, and let's have fun with what we do here in creation, and let's make sense out of it. And that's the biggest challenge of all, just to make sense of it. In other words, get your personal self out of the way. Is it all about you? Or is it about the whole of life? Do you know more than the whole of life? Or is it everything? See, most people don't consider that. They only consider their little personal self and life, which comes and goes like the life of a fly every lifetime. All these little things in creation are so important, aren't they? Well, okay, you decide, and life sees you. How can it back you? How can it do that? Would you? Would you invest in somebody that's duh? Would you? I doubt it. So why should life invest in you if you're duh? If you're not waking up, if you're not even trying to wake up, okay? So, yeah, it's just time to get real. And it's not that hard to be wonderful and to step up and do something real. So I've created these positions. I don't even see why anyone would even ask the question about anything. Hey, I've created so much more. One of the things that Paul created was Sunasu. It was a business. He created it. First of all, he established the membership, just to get it going. Then at a certain point, right before he left, was with Dr. Bernard Jensen, and my wife and I met Dr. Bernard Jensen because she had allergies in L.A. And so Paul got together with him and formulated Sunasu, which was an MLM at the time. And I was involved in a little bit, but I had my construction business. I was fine. So I didn't really like to sell and push these things, but some people did very well at it, which is fine. And so, he created that aspect for people because the idea is that, instead of working your 9-to-5 boring job, do this, sell multivitamins and minerals, and they were good, and, do that instead. And so you don't have to have a boring job. Well, the reason I've created all these things to get agreement on, and it's harder in the world today, is that so that, eventually we can have self-sustaining communities, but it's going to take a little work to get there. It's going to take some effort and suffering and many other things, just like anything, to get there. But some people just want to kind of watch and wait, and that's it, and have their own little ideas, and they just don't want to step up. Well, this is what we're doing, and guess what? This is what Rebazar and the boys are focused on. Exactly what I've decided. And yes, they're there for other people, and they're going to have experiences and whatever. But still, they just watch, again, they watch the play yard. And they see what everybody's doing. And most people in their minds are thinking that, I'm all part of this and this and that. Well, really, you're not. You only think you are. Just like the members in the corporation think that they're spiritual and Harry's taking care of them. No. You only get what you give and what you can get and what you can give and etc. That's how it works. You have to wake up to it. So stepping up, it's very real. And I don't see any, it's not hard to figure out. I see Kelsey, look at Kelsey, what she does, etc. And Neva's always done it. Neva's always wonderful. She's always done pictures of the boys, Just keeping that idea alive here is huge with Rebazar and the boys, because Joni wants to drown it out. The world wants to push it away. The world does not want me here. Not at all. The world is putting up with me. It's like, when is he going to leave? We want to get on with our silly nonsense. When is Duane going to leave? That's very real. So again, this is a privileged position to step up and risk your life to do this. Because the end result is that you will stand in a real position. The boys will back you if you step up. And so what we're doing with what I've created, this is what it is. This is what the isness recognizes in creation now, because it goes through all of creation and beyond that. It is the isness life is now, because it provides the way with the isness, because that is the intent, okay? That is my intent. And then as people see this, they start to catch on. They get the impressions of the intent. What is the intent of Joni? What is the intent of the president and the queen and the Vatican? Their intent is to keep their human farming going and to keep themselves prisoners with all the prisoners they maintain. That's their intent. Ours is to be real and wonderful with no restrictions, to where everybody has everything they'll ever need. That's the whole idea. But in this world, that's a huge accomplishment. But I don't see any problem. I don't see any, I don't see the obstacles. I just keep going. And eventually you're there. I've created so many things, just like writing a book. You know, I've mentioned it many times. I suggest people write a book, just 100 pages, but it seems like such a big deal. It's like, oh, I can't do that, or I don't have time, or whatever. See, they just create resistance. When all you do is just sit down, start typing it out, and pretty soon you got 100 pages, and you wrote the book. That's it. You don't need resistance, but will you do it? See, that's stepping up. That's one example. Because everybody here, the only reason that I can exist here is because those of you that have the courage to step up are witnesses to the fact of what I am doing and what I'm providing for you to wake up and to free yourself. You see how it works? This is where we step up and support each other. Yes, thank you for asking, Charles.